That'll keep the place neat and tidy.
Yeah, well done.
Welcome all. Welcome to the October meeting for the Toyota Land Cruiser Club. For anybody that's joining us for the first time, and a special welcome to you too. We do have a guest speaker tonight, and that's always good. And we've got a couple of videos as well, so we've got a pretty full night for all of you. The grand opening of the multi-purpose building, obviously at the moment it's still booked in for Saturday the 13th of November. From what I understand, we've been told that we are likely to have an LC300 series Land Cruiser there. So that'll be really good. For a lot of us, it'll be the first chance we've had to actually see it. The 4x4 show was due, but I understand that's just been cancelled. So that's a little bit disappointing. But don't forget, when it does come back on board, don't be afraid to put your hand up to say, hey, you know, I'm happy to help out, etc., etc. Great way to see the club and to get to know people as well. So we have a guest speaker tonight, and for those of you who don't know him, he's well renowned in four-wheel drive circles, and certainly I remember when I first got into four-wheel driving, which is probably nothing compared to this gentleman. 25 odd years ago, I remember going down the street and buying his book. It was the first one I bought about four-wheel driving. And since then I bought a few that his wife have done on cooking and so on and so forth, and always found them excellent reading. So with that, I'd like to introduce Ron Moon. But before we do, we've got a short video coming to us from him. And so here it is. And don't forget, click on chat below if you've got any items or queries. Okay, so over to the video and then we'll talk to Ron.
Yeah, I'm Ron Moon. I'm a freelance writer, I guess, more than anything. I used to be editor for 15 years at 4x4 Australia magazine. And now I'm their editor at large, which is a glorified travel writer, but it's had one hell of a job.
About 15 days ago, if I remember correctly, we left Esperance and headed east, climbed Wiley Bluff, that magnificent outcrop of rock just down the beach from Esperance itself. Had this magnificent view of islands and beaches and things like that, and it was just a foretaste of things to come. Since then we've travelled through Israelite Bay and then along the cliffs through that scrub that really does get to you after a while, and across those limestone outcrops for 2 solid days of travel. And then we were back on the beaches, running the head of the Bight and running down through Wagunya Conservation Park, which is a fantastic stretch of coast, one of the best in Australia. You know, I've done this trip 3 or 4 times now in its entirety, and I never ever get sick of it.
Yeah, it was a great trip though, I've got to say. It was fantastic. I mean, it's been a couple of years since I've actually done that, although I was out that way earlier this year. But I haven't done the whole trip for a couple of years. And yeah, it's a fantastic trip. Best coastal trip in Australia, I reckon. You know, it'll take you 14 or 15 days to go from Esperance to Ceduna along the beaches and up on the cliff tops. And yeah, you'll never forget it. But don't go out there on your own. It's some of those beaches can be pretty treacherous, and yeah, it's pretty good. Anyway, I thought I've been pretty lucky this year. We've been had about 7 or 8 months on the road, and so I've dodged COVID fairly well. Started off the year up in the Victorian High Country, and just wandering through there, doing some 4x4 of the year testing and all that sort of stuff. A lot of you guys would know where we are on up there, Howard Hut, beautiful little spot, one of my favourite camps up there, cooling off in the river. We're only up there for a week or 7 days, 8 days, and then came back home and picked Viv up and went back up there and wandered through from Dargo through the back way to Mad Lucy, which is on the back track to Swift Creek and all that sort of thing. She was a crazy lady back in the time. It's one of my favourite camps, Victoria Rhythm Campground in Naomio. And then this is on Limestone Creek. It was a little bit steep getting in there, I got to say, but it started to rain, so we chickened out and got out of there before the road got too slippery, and went to Native Dog, which is a beautiful spot. And had a great camp there for a few days, and that's when I think COVID by some visitors that COVID had closed down the place. But anyway, we stuck up there and wandered up to Bendock. Not many people get up that way. You get to the track. Which one's this? This is Wilson's Hut, just out of Bendock. Beautiful little hut, fabulous little camping ground, and very few people get up there. Just looking at the tracks, they are covered in leaf litter and like that. So it's a fantastic place to go. Lots of old gold mining up there. This is the Victoria Star mine. So yeah, and then there's the Delegate River Tunnel where they cut through the rock. I always carry fan belts for the patrol, but I forgot to carry them for the cruiser. So I ended up shredding a serpentine belt. Anyway, luckily the pub at Bendock was open by this stage, and we could have a beer. We went up through southeastern New South Wales. That's Alexandra up Nuttock Swamp. If you've never been up there, really beautiful country. They had their mountain cattlemen back in the old days. This is the Woolloondooba Inn, which was prefabricated in America and brought out to Australia and been refurbished by the forestry. It's inland from Bega and Eden. Hard to find though. And anyway, we headed back down the coast and back home before heading across to South Australia. Burra, one of my favourite towns, to Barree, and out onto the Birdsville track early in the morning to get to Mungarani. I'm sure a lot of you've been there and had a beer. It's still there. We decided we'd try and do the inside track instead of going around the outside, but a lot of water coming down that diamond. So this is about March. So I've never seen Birdsville Caravan Park so empty. They were trying to stop it because of the rain. Then they sent us down on the rig road. That was the only way in. And this mob were coming from the other side, and we're at Clover Call. I'm not too sure why they drove past all these bog holes to get bogged out there, but anyway, they were really bogged. Didn't want our help. Offered them a sat phone, but no, weren't interested. But Simpson's a great trip to go across, and fantastic place. Dropped down to the Lone Gum. We had, I was with my son and his Moon Tours group. We had a group of people with us. And Dalhousie. And then it started raining. And Graham at Mount Dare said, "You better get out this morning, otherwise you ain't gonna get out." So it took us 12 hours to get out from Mount Dare to Culver. And all the vehicles needed brake works and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, we dodged up through Kings Canyon and done an Aboriginal tour up there, and then went out through the Eastern Macs, because by this stage all the roads were closed up there. And the Eastern Macs had missed out on the rain, so we went out that way to Altunga, which is the first European settlement in Central Australia, founded on gold. Then we went to the Hale River Homestead. If you've never been there, go to this place. It's an absolute cracker of a joint. Fabulous place, fabulous host, and and then we backtracked and went down the back way to Old Andado. And we got the vehicle serviced in Alice Springs, and they forgot to put the plugs in properly, and they fell out, would you believe? Anyway, we were lucky we saved it all. Shame what's happening at Old Andado. It's, yeah, a bit of a problem. This is the Pink River. I'm an electrical contractor. It'd be bogged right now. Anyway, we headed to the south coast of South Australia. This is our campsite at Cheetah Beach, which is one of my favourite camps, west of Ceduna. And from there we went up to Maralinga, the A-bomb test site, and we got told we couldn't go through the Aboriginal land, so we had to we couldn't get on the Anbadell or anything like that. So we ended up following the railway line across, crossing through into WA and stopping at Florence, and then that track is pretty horrible. If anybody's been on it, you know what I'm talking about. Really rough limestone, terrible bloody road track. Italian prisoner of war camp. There's about 6 of these dotted across the Nullarbor into Hague and Cook and all that sort of stuff. And now we're heading up to Connie Sue to Neil Junction. Beautiful camp, marble gums there, endemic to the Great Victoria Desert. Bottom end of the Connie Sue is really in good nick, and then the northern side of the Connie Sue, north of Neil Junction, it's really eroded and stuff like that from all the rain they've had the last few months. And we got into Warburton Roadhouse and spent some time repairing tyres and changing tyres and all those sorts of things. We rescued this little goanna. He was running around on the road. He would have died in that can without a doubt within a day or so. And then we were on the gun barrel, heading west up to Everett Junction, and then up the Gary Highway past Charlie's Knob and Lake Cowan. This is the second time in 30 years that I've seen water in this place. It's absolutely magic when that happens, and we couldn't help but camp there for a couple of nights. Fantastic spot. And then we pushed up to the Talawara track and tried to go along the Talawara track and came across another swamp, which, put curtail to our track. We were going to cut across the Talawara, across the Rudall River National Park and all through there. But, that didn't happen. So we ended up backtracking. But the country was looking magic with all the rain that had been through there, and I love to see it when it's like that. But it's a bit of a pain when you get stopped by rain. And we couldn't go any further north on the Gary because that was all flooded as well. So we went back to the gun barrel and headed west. This is Mungalili Claypan. If any of you have been there, and we got into Carnegie Station and then into Wiluna, which has been cleaned up a hell of a lot. And if you go to the Discovery Centre there, they do a great job. We cut through the Pilbara, Tom Price, across the Northwest Cape and the lighthouse there. Still rain everywhere. We got we camped on the beach there for 23 days. We saw the sun for about 2 days, and that's about it. Beautiful camp at Windabandy Point on Ningaloo Station. National Parks now run this place. We went down to the old whaling station where you can still see the old whaling bones and the old winch gear where they used to drag whales up onto the shore. It's operated until the 1950s. Back in the sand dunes, if you search, you can find a small graveyard. Of course, the fishing's good. But we were just there to really spend some time with some friends and have a good time. Once we left there, we went down to Carnarvon, HMS to Sydney, and then out on Rocky Pool on the Gascoyne River, and then headed south down through the goldfields. That's crossing the Murchison, the headwaters of the Murchison. Beautiful sunset. And then into the little town of Kew. Beautiful old buildings there, lots of history. Of course, Canning's expedition, when he set up the Canning Stockery, started from there. This is all that remains of Day Dawn, the only building that's left. All the rest is under mining rubble. This is, what's it called? Big Ben, I think, something like that. Big Bell, that's right. Those structures new. Went out to Walger Rock, which is quite famous because of one particular piece of Aboriginal rock art. And it's this one here, off this boat. A lot of controversy about it, about who done it, why, who, when, all that sort of thing. I have no idea, but it's totally different to everything else. And we went out, we were pushing down through the goldfields, lots of old ruins, lots of old deserted townships. Fantastic place. You can lose yourself for weeks. This is a grey cemetery, Lawless Cemetery. Then down to Guylia, a fantastic little town that they set up. This is a big winch winding gear, the biggest in Australia, single cylinder, bit of a spanner. I could hardly lift it. And this is Hoover's house. He became the 31st president of the United States. And then out to Lake Ballard, where they got 56 of these different sculptures dotted across the Salt Lake. Some people call it art. Menzies, poor little old Menzies. And then down to Gingari Station, which is part of the National Park. We camped there for a few nights. Pretty cold at night through there. Friendly butcher bird. And then down towards Kalgoorlie. This is the Paddington Mill and Mine. Back in 1904, my grandfather robbed it and ended up in the slammer for it in the Fremantle jail, but that's another story. Kalgoorlie, and Kalgoorlie's a different town if you've never been there. You can play two up. There's hot skimpies in all the pubs, or in a couple of the pubs. Brothels in Hay Street. It's definitely got a cut. You can do tours of the brothels when they're not busy, and then you can go out to this town, or what's left of it, used to be as big as Kalgoorlie once upon a time, but lots of history. This one is a Japanese who murdered his friend, and then we went up to Niagara Dam, which is near Tookienrine, and the pub there. The Republican there, she would be 86 if she's not a day. And then down to Ullaring Rock, where Ernest Giles was attacked by a group of Aboriginals. Fabulous place to camp. In a sea of mallee, big rock, water trapped everywhere in it. Really nice spot. And then we went down to Rails Lagoon, which is not far away, and camped there for a couple of nights. You can lose yourself in the. Oh, that's Ernest Giles' grave in Kilgardy. And then we took the old coast road out of Northern, and lots of old gold mines and things like that. Even the cricket pitch hadn't been used for a while, and then we came across the Nullarbor. Went into the old Balladonia station, which is really well worth walking around. Beautiful stone wall, dry stone wall, walling. And then stopped at Eucla, went into the old telegraph station. A lot of people go to the station but miss out on the jetty and the beach there. You can camp just on the beach there, as you can see, just on the right there. And yeah, they still unload their fishing boats there and all that sort of stuff. Tractors come in and haul the stuff ashore. But yeah, it's one of my favourite little spots on that crossing of the Nullarbor and crossing of the Great Australian Bight. And then we camped on the Bunda Cliffs, a couple of spots I know along there, and we had 7 whales decided to swim along below us, and they were there for 2 hours, just cavorting around below the cliff, 20 metres off the cliff. Got back to Victoria the day it was going to shut down, so I dropped him off in the camper, threw my swag in the back and took off before it shut down. Yeah, so if you're into history and all this sort of place, there's a beautiful property on Jimbo Station, where Leichhardt started his journey up through Central Australia, through Queensland up to Port Essington. He ended up in Charters Cows for a little while. And then this is Fletcher Creek, which is known by Leichhardt, beautiful spot to camp. And then we got up into the Atherton Tablelands where the weather changed quite dramatically. If you haven't been to Lion's Den Hotel in the last few years, you'd be surprised at how many campers there. There would have been probably 150 vehicles there the night we pulled in there. Anyway, we took the Starkey Road up through Cape Melville National Park and had a great time going through there. Across the Cowpale Crossing. And then Running Creek, which is north of there, just north of there, it's all Aboriginal owned, but they've opened it up. They've opened it up for the first time this year in about 20 years. And you can camp on the beach and all this sort of stuff. We've done a run along the beach because to the ruins of this aircraft that I knew was there. That's an Aero Cobra, a P-26 Aero Cobra from World War II, crash landed. Cut across to the main road. This is the Archer River, still a great place to camp. It's the Pasco, one of the easier crossings, but it leads into a swamp because of all the rain they had. We had a hell of a time in there. We ended up turning around and coming back. Bramble Junction. That's where we found one of the camper vans and cracked its chassis. This is the first creek on the OTL line, which is pretty daunting for a lot of people. 30 Hay Creek, named after one of the Jardines, coming out of Gunshot. That's me and the start at Canal Creek, beautiful little spot where we swam for the first time in 1978. Repairing the bridge. Somebody fell through that the next day. But it's all about picking the line, as I'm sure you're aware. And yeah, this is Nolan's, which captures a lot of people. And while we were there, my son was picking the line, and I'm standing watching him, and this bloke came up to me and said, "Oh, I know this creek crossing really well, mate. He'll never get across that way. You know, nobody's got through there." Kept hammering me all the time. Anyway, Trent came through, and he sort of went a little bit quiet then because he was standing at the shoulder. By the time the third vehicle came through with the trailer, he wandered off. Anyway, I've got to give him his due, because after 8 vehicles came through, after we brought 8 vehicles through, oh yeah, it is a spectator spot. People come down there with their lunch and beer and just enjoy the show, because a hell of a lot of vehicles don't get through. And anyway, after the 8 vehicles came through, this is the 8th one. This bloke walked up to me and said, "Mate, that was a bloody masterclass." And out the next 6 vehicles that came behind it, 4 of them got bogged and drowned. And the only 2 that didn't had to listen to Brent, and he told them what to do. And yeah, so it's all about picking your line, and as you know, right tyre pressures, you know, just nice and slow, just cruise through. And that's a beautiful 200 series stretch, and just no end of money spent on it. That 220 grand, I think it was, the thing about it. Anyway, up to the Jardine. out to see the DC3 wreck, which is right beside the road there near the airport, up to the top of Australia. Done a bit of a beach ride there down the east coast from Somerset. And of course, when you're up there, you spend a bit of time repairing things, alternators and starter motors being the big ones. Anyway, down behind Weeper, we went out to the beach there, which is we camped there for a couple of nights, and then drove down to Dustin Point, which is where the first Europeans landed in Australia in 1606. And then just north of there, there's a couple of plane wrecks from World War II, a couple of P-47 Thunderbolts. Now that's a turbo. If you want a turbo for your truck, you want one of them. Anyway, burning nets, those silent killers that you see on the beach all the time. Anyway, that's it, guys. That's our wander around Australia this year for 6 or 7 months or whatever it was.
Well, Ron, as usual, always good to see something like that, and you always keep us well entertained. Some beautiful photography there. Who does all the photography on your trips?
Myself and Viv, generally. I mean, I would have had a few more drone shots, but I trained it up on KPL on about the second day. That was the end of the drone.
Well, fair enough. We had a question from the group from Piers Thompson just saying, question for you, would you personally cross the Simpson Desert Madigan line with an LC200 pulling an Australian-made off-road camper such as a lightweight Patriot?
No, not a problem at all. The key is tyre pressures. My son takes campers across there. We took 3 groups across there this year, and just ran really low tyre pressures. A couple of the dunes, which were scalloped out before he got there. He got the group out and smoothed the run up, and low tyre pressures went over there, no problems at all. And Patriot, as you would know, is one of the best little camper trailers, most capable camper trailers you can get. Wouldn't have a problem.
All right. Liz Mills was just pointing out that they were a little heartbroken that Old Andado has been almost abandoned. They loved being caretaker there for a couple of years in a row, but David said that that it was still in good condition when they were there in June, July, and they did a bit of a clean up on it and hope that it stayed that way.
Yeah, there's still a lot of stuff in the buildings and things like that. It's all covered in dust now and sand, but it's nearly all still there. So, which is really good to see. I mean, the camping area was a bit overgrown when we were there because we were there pretty early in the piece in April, and so the camping area was green and lush. Yeah, you had to cut bloody weeds out. But, yeah, it was good, but yeah, it's really sad to see that it has been basically abandoned.
And Tony Middleditch asked a question, is the koala still in the lone gum?
I didn't see it. In fact, it's no longer a lone gum if anybody's been down there recently. There's about 4 or 5 little trees shooting up. One of them's about 6 to 8 foot high. So I was more intrigued by it not being the lone gum anymore. And I didn't see any little toys down there at all.
Yeah. All right. Well, don't see any more questions for you, Ron. But as usual, thank you for joining us. Are you going to stay with us for a little while longer?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, I will.
Well, if there's any more questions, I might pop back to you a little later. All right. Thank you, Ron, again, from on behalf of the club. Thank you for giving your time tonight and giving us the most entertaining thing, and a number of comments coming through saying thank you, fantastic, round of applause, etc. Thank you very much. On with subcommittee reports. So next we've got Liz, and Liz with education, and perhaps Liz, do you want to just talk a little bit about the opening the MPB too? Are you happy to do the two together?
Yep, that's fine. I can
Over
do
to you,
that.
Liz. Thank you. Welcome aboard tonight.
Hi, everybody. Okay, just a quick update. The four-wheel drive maintenance course is now changed to the Saturday the 4th and Sunday 5th of December. Chainsaw course is the same weekend. Now that we've got two buildings, we can do the two together and try and clear all these ones before the end of the year. Tyre repair course, 11th and 12th of December. It is full, but I'm sure the boys will run another one next year. So that will be happening before we close for the year. Now for next year, we're having a first aid course on the 5th and 6th of February. I know there are a few people waiting to do one. James has said he will come up and do that in the new building for us next year, which will be lovely. So we'll be able to do a bit of stuff on the track maybe. I'm still waiting for some details from him. He, being a paramedic, of course, is really busy at the moment. So as soon as I get details, there'll be some ads put up and you can book in. In March, we've got the photography course. That's on the 4th, 5th and 6th. Details are still to be put up for that. Now, the grand opening. We're still forging ahead and hopefully this will still go ahead. With all the COVID problems, it's a job to find out exactly what our site comes under. So we're having a bit of trouble trying to work out numbers and different directions that we have to follow. So you'll have to bear with us that a bit. We're still hoping that we are going to run that on the Saturday, the 13th of November. And it'll be a fantastic day. And we've got a lovely surprise now in that we are going to get a brand new 300 series up there. So you can all have a look at that. It has been showing when you want to book in that it is closed at 40, but I think they're going to change that. So everybody just book in. We want as many people to go as possible. Now, there is always the chance that with COVID restrictions, we may have to cap the number. So it will be first in, best dressed, I'm afraid. We still don't know yet. I think that's probably about it from me. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I've done enough now. So I'll hand back to Ian. Thank you.
On the agenda was a video from Laurie and Heidi when they were leading their 20th club trip to the Vic South Australia border track. It's one of the greatest regions, one of the greatest trips I've ever been on. And so let's go over, David, to that video. Here we are, folks.
I don't know, these bushwalkers, all she could say to me is that it? You've got to admit the views are pretty good up here, aren't they, Liz?
Oh, amazing. Fantastic.
You don't see this every day, do you?
No. I've certainly never been in this part of the park.
David's showing us how it's done. Up. Ah! Good to see you got your water bottle there, Peter.
Of course, it's vodka.
Vodka.
We don't know you well enough, Laurie, to know when you're joking and when you're not.
So what are the views like, guys?
What a view.
What a view?
What a view.
Okay. Baked beans?
Barbecue sauce. So baked beans and barbecue sauce.
A bit of farting power.
Bit of crapper paper. Oh, just in case you get lucky.
Right.
Yeah. Plastic might have deteriorated. I wouldn't rely on it.
Again on.
Trusting it.
Someone's phone number to go with a condom.
Slogger.
Something you've been down.
Hi, Laurie.
G'day, Chris. How's the
Inside.
travel buddy?
Oh, tons of
Well, as a former restaurant critic, I would say 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
They were.
Alison, he gave you 10 out of 10 for the travel buddy lunch.
It was excellent.
He gave 10 out of 10.
There you go.
He's going to be a food critic, he tells me.
We had salad as well with it.
Wow.
Tahini sauce.
Arancini balls,
Capsicum.
tahini,
Tomato.
capsicum, assorted nuts,
Feta.
feta, chased down with
And what's for dinner tonight? That'll
blackberries
be a
and
pretty hard
raspberries
to
and
follow.
Spaghetti bolognese.
slices of orange.
Very nice.
We tried it.
What more could you do out in the bush, eh? Well done, Ranger. Is there enough encouragement, Rebecca? Yeah, you're right to go. More power. That's good power, good power, good power, good power. Keep that power up. Well, Rebecca, all I can say is you need to tell Sloko how to drive because you've certainly got a lead foot. So you guys going to move across into the disputed country?
Which is disputed.
We're crossing
This side. See, I'm in the disputed country.
Hey, have you got your border pass? Disputed border pass?
Back over the other side of the border. Sorry, Laurie. You're in trouble. Yes,
No,
you're
but
in trouble.
this is a different pass. This is a disputed border pass, not the border pass.
Oh, I didn't get that one.
So for a small fee, you set them up, do you?
Absolutely. Ching ching. Okay, let open the gate and they're just going through, doing our official border control. Your passport's ready. Well done, Charlie, you can lock the gate.
Now, do say some swear words and some terrible things because Laurie's recording.
We're having a
He's going
great
to have
time.
to edit it all
And I
out.
must say, what a
wonderful.
fantastic trip leader, Laurie.
Fantastic.
Laurie, there you are.
Heidi's ability.
And it's so easy.
Now, Helen, would you like to give some advice to the camera about how it's exciting it is to have camper trailers in front of you?
Oh, look, the snatch upon snatch upon snatch, I think you said, didn't you, once now? Fascinating. And those extra sort of bulbous sort of holes.
I'd like to thank Heidi for this wonderful trip. Talking about that Laurie guy, Laurie. But yeah, Heidi's great. We should have her on trips more often. Is that worth a brownie point?
Excuse me, Heidi, we have it on tape. Michael's giving you some praise. Says you run a fantastic trip, but he then added an addendum. Is that worth some brownie points, Heidi?
Okay.
You a nice setup here, Chris?
Yeah, we're happy, Laurie. We've got a place for most things, and everything has moved from its place on the bumps on the track, and it's now in another place.
So tell me, where's the Korean beef then?
Oh,
the
he's about to
Korean
get that
beef
out now.
survived.
It survived.
To say,
Okay.
Well,
you like
we have a sneak
show-
preview for the
show-
camera.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not in the.
It's in the saucepan behind the
Oh, yeah.
plastic container. Wedged in a tight spot.
This is how you carry Korean beef across sand dunes.
Look at this.
And it's about to go back into the travel buddy bag. So
Double
double
oven.
bag.
Double oven bags, you'll note.
Yes.
Go.
In it goes. Safety strap across the door. Turned on to low. And away we go. And an hour out, we'll put green beans in.
Wow.
Done. How's
Oh.
that?
And who are you inviting for dinner?
Just Liz.
You didn't invite Tom Cruise.
No, not lamb.
No, it's too short.
Okay. Bit of a fire.
Contacts over, okay, Possum, have you come?
Yeah, it's fire retardant on the ground.
Thanks, Contact, Possum on way.
So Zebra thinks the funny pink is fire retardant. Would anyone like to second guess that?
Oh, this is bumpy. Oh.
Holly, is it just like a huge aerial fire retardant? Spray? Marshall out. Come on, Charlie.
Going well, keep it going, foot to the floor. Will you get over this last one? This is the challenge, this one. Nearly there, keep going, almost. Yes, well done. Awesome, Possum.
Foot to the floor, drive it like you stole it. Sounding much better, keep it going.
Oh, looking much better, much better, much better. Well done. Awesome.
Woohoo! Marshall rolling.
That's the snake. You're doing the snake well. Good. This is the challenge. Well done, Possum. That's awesome. You showed a bit of leg there. Well done, squirrel. Awesome work, Linda. You to come up here. Awesome speed. Well done. Awesome.
Honey from the back, you just disappeared, honey.
Oh, aren't you clever, Marshall? You can drive and film at the same time. I just wonder if you could give me some feedback on this quality air compressor you've got around here.
Yes, I can, Laurie.
Yes,
What would you like?
How long does it normally take to pump up one tyre?
Depends on the pressure you're at, of course. It's a few minutes.
Well, it's been about 5 or 4. Okay, so let's everyone's been finished for about 20 minutes, and you're still going. Now, this is a 200 series. I think you better up-spec your compressor.
I do have a compressor spot right here, going in there. Where
Yes.
my last one was, but it's obviously not in there.
No,
And I'm still building.
Well, thank you for that. Good video. I really enjoyed that one. So well done, well done. Committee reports. Next, we've got Chris Treble talking about driver training. So welcome, Chris.
Good on you. Thank you, Ian. Good evening, everyone. Just very brief. We've got we've got 2 more sessions to run for the practical weekend up at Yark on we've got the 6th and the 7th of November, and then we fingers crossed we go back again on the 27th and 28th. Like everything, it's been on hold. So we've got some due numbers. We've got about 15 for each of those sessions at the moment. So I think just to play it cautiously, we're going to cap it at the numbers that we've currently got, because we need to add instructors in. At this stage, it's not clear what our numbers will be. And there's the questions around the COVID and the vaccinations and that type of thing. So get to make a full final decision on that. And I'll have to go back to the driver awareness team and have a further chat about that. But will be guided by whatever the government says in accordance with what the committee has actually published. And at the moment, like in workplaces and that, it's a little bit undecided if everyone is across that at the moment. So it's early days and we probably won't know. So people that are booked in for this coming weekend on the 6th and 7th, just be on alert, provided we've got the numbers right. There will be the normal COVID precautions that we will take, the QR reader and etc. and sanitisation, etc. and wearing of masks that will be still required. I'm just not 100% sure on what numbers will be capped at over those 2 weekends. So we'll keep the last 2 DAs for the 2021 year at the numbers we've got. We are catching up. We hope to be back on track at the end of February next year. We'll be caught up with all the outstanding members that have yet to be able to complete their training. So it's a lot better than what we thought it was.
All right, so thank you very much for that, Chris. Alison Hilton has suggested that perhaps we need a new award category for perpetual trophy for the best video. So maybe that's something we can have a bit of a think about. If anybody's got any feedback on that, send it through to the secretary. Perhaps Alison, send it through to the secretary and we might look at it. Okay. All right, so we'll move on now with our next thing is our trip convener, Viv. How are you, Viv?
I'm good, thanks, Ian. How are you?
Oh, good. Glad you could join us again. I always love that photo in the background. It's something I think we're all looking forward to doing soon. So yeah, over to you now.
No worries. First off, I'd like to thank all the trip leaders who have tried to run trips this year. We do have some hopefully going in November. We've got 3 running. Hopefully we can get out. Trips with vacancies. We have one from Jim's. We're doing a trip to Jim's Lookout on the 14th of November, which actually is the day after the multi-purpose room opening. There's vacancies on that if anyone wants to come along. It's just a day trip. Dulcie is still looking for people to help with her Jericho working bee on the 23rd, 24th and 25th of November. That's always a little bit of hard work, but a lot of fun and a bit of a surprise afterwards. Brian and Rita have got a weekend trip up at the King Valley, easy like Sunday morning on the 19th of November. In next year, the 2022, again, Brian and Rita are running a King Valley easy like Sunday morning trip in February. And Warren and Anita are running a couple of desert trips. But if you're interested in the desert trips, it's advisable to ring Warren and have a chat to him because there's certain conditions. On a side note, if we have a December meeting at Mulgrave, I've got a Christmas cake that we're going to raffle for the Flying Doctor. So please bring your $2 for a ticket or 3 for $5. Normally we auction it off, but I thought if we raffle it, then everyone gets a chance of getting the cake.
Yep.
And that's it.
All right, so yeah, you're dead right, Viv. You know, I mean, for those people who have even tried to put on trips, you know, congratulations goes to them for trying at least. So, you know, not long now, folks. We're hanging out there. It won't be long. So yeah. So hopefully we can turn that around and keep it moving. So all right, thanks so much, Viv, for tonight and the update there. Next, we've got TLCC West Australia. John Mills is going to talk to us about the 2022 gathering. Hi, John.
Okay, I haven't got a lot to say other than there's been a tremendous response in showing an interest in going. As of tonight, we have 32 vehicles and 61 participants wanting to go to the West. So that's a pretty good result. The only thing I will say as a warning is that I have been trying to get some numbers from the West about how many they can cope with. As to whether there will be a quota on each state, but they're not coming back to me with that. So I will keep a list of those as they register, and if they put a quote on it first, it'll be first in, best dressed. I'm sorry, but that's the best I can do. I have looked up the caravan park in the west. They have 60 odd powered sites and 40 unpowered sites, which means that we might get, I don't know what we're going to get until they allocate them to. I don't know what we're going to get. So, but a damn good response, and keep registering, because I would like to see us all go, every single one of you. Okay. So that's it. Thank you.
Oh, well, we'll do our best, and I'm sure you're doing your best. So thanks very much for that, John. We'll move on. All right, so the next report we've got tonight is Geelong. Alison Williams. Is Alison on? I haven't seen her tonight. Yes, she is. Over to you, Alison.
Thank you, Ian. Well, we've had a meeting, a face-to-face meeting, and we're going to have another one next month. So we're back in there now. We don't see any more lockdowns coming our way. Our next meeting will be on the second Tuesday in November, because the first Tuesday is part of the Melbourne Cup long weekend, and it's always been the second Tuesday. So it's going to be on the 9th. If anyone would like to join us, you're most welcome, and we'll have plenty of room for lots of members. We have a barbecue at Distillery Creek on the 7th of November. It's a great spot in behind Aries Inlet with wood-fired barbecues, or bring a picnic lunch. There's lots of nature trails there, a great boardwalk, and Marcus and Betty will be doing some mountain bike riding, so feel free to bring your mountain bike and join us. We're having our annual Christmas barbecue at Yu Yang's. Big Rock, sunset at Big Rock. It's a great spot looking out west across the plains as the sun sets. It's a beautiful spot. So we'll gather there at 3:30, 4 o'clock. And from the Geelong branch budget, we'll be providing the sausages and chops and everything else. And please bring a salad or dessert. And you can book online for both of those activities. It's a really nice spot. And there are lots of walks to do. There's a lovely half-an-hour walk around Big Rock, which is actually just a massive, big granite boulder, and also lots and lots of mountain bike trails. So we'll meet there in the afternoon. Lots of people will be doing some mountain biking. So everybody's welcome, or you're also welcome to bring a glass of wine, sit back and watch the sunset and just chat and catch up with everyone. In January, we don't normally have a meeting, but we are meeting for Barefoot Bowls, and that's at the Geelong Bowling Club. And it's just on the northern side of town, so everyone's welcome. It's a really great fun evening, and we'll follow that with dinner. A couple of activities we've got happening. The Still Day we've sort of put on hold until we clear through COVID, which will be next year still. We've been talking with Parks Vic. There's a vehicle in the Otway National Park in the Anglesea area that needs recovering, and we have not yet completed our Clean Up Australia Day activity this year. So we have all the gear there ready to go, and hopefully we'll have some notification about that activity as soon as I hear back from the parks or the DWOP team. And lovely to see everybody, and we'll see you all next month. Thanks, Ian.
No worries, Alison. And I think you had your annual general meeting recently. So do you just want to let people know what the voting was?
We had an annual meeting. We didn't need to have a vote. I'm president and Greg is vice president. And Ralph will be in the committee and helping whenever he can.
All right, thank you. Well, sounds like you got a few things lined up. So be good that if people are able to get over there at the moment, we're probably a little restricted, but who knows by then. So we'll see how we go. All right, so next we've got Yark, and we'll go over to Brian Stewart. Welcome, Brian.
Good evening, Ian. Good evening, everybody. Once again, we've had our weekend cancelled. A couple of the guys were up there during the past week to check on a few things. I'm going to read you a report that Michael sent to me. Michael's report. Just want to report back after a quick trip up to Yark with Traco and myself to do some emergency maintenance to check and replace the security camera batteries as needed after 3 months continuous running. The trip was approved by the committee in case they got a letter official letter. Unfortunately, they didn't need to. They weren't pulled up or anything like that. The property was looking great, very green, lush, and signs of plenty of rain. There were no trees down along the main tracks. As just a quick summary of the what they did and what have you. All 3 gates were locked and secure. The Hilton was all secure, still clean and tidy inside. No signs of any vermin. The garden area and the plants are doing well and flowering. The main concrete water tank is full and still overflowing. Tractor shed and amenity building all secure. Storage container all secure. Batteries, solar, Hilton, all good. Turned on the Hilton generator to give the new batteries a good boost for a few hours. Given that no maintenance construction for the last 3 months. Firewood storage bin is very low, so that's something that we need to get onto when we get back up there. Range gauge was nearly full, 123 mil. And the guys finished off the 12-volt lighting in the multi-purpose building and connected it to the Hilton main batteries. So all 6 lights are working and labelled. Access tracks, good condition, generally good, no sign of major washout. Signs of lots of rain and leaf litter built up in the drains and the culverts. 2 of the 3 security camera batteries were replaced. The top gate camera was still good. The one on the Terrap Road, they encountered a family of deer on the trip up there. 4G security camera solar battery was working fine. The camera was capturing incidents but not sending a photo on all occasions. Looking into possible causes, as there may be a local issue with the 3G, 4G service in the area. So Michael's been following that one up and has been reviewing all the security photos captured from the cameras over the past few months.
We've got now Webmaster. Over to you, Laurie.
Good day, Ian. And yes, I am back home in this cold, freezing place of Melbourne. 4.5 months up in Queensland and South Australia was fantastic, but unfortunately, yes, I'm back in lockdown. I just wanted to say thank you to Ian for saying that we did a good video for the border track trip. Yeah, I certainly enjoyed editing that together. I've been working over the last few months and trying to get it all together. I actually think some of the highlights were some of our country people, and I'd like to give special praise to Greg and Mary Chenoweth and Stephen and Helen Chenoweth. And I think they're John's brothers, John Chenoweth's brothers. They both lived down in Warrnambool and they both had standard diesels. So they had to really push it hard up some of those sand dunes. But they certainly gave us some great video to show you, and certainly they had a great time, especially the discussion about the convoy we had to follow that had some trailers. That was quite interesting to see that being discussed there. All right, just one final thing. Yes, that was the 20th time we've done the border track trip as a club trip. We've done it 22, twice on our own, but yes, 20. And for those who are interested, that was our 124th trip. So we're not sure what we're going to do for our 125th, but we'll make it try to make it a big one. So yeah, what I thought I'd quickly do is just go over on the website just to show you. I was going to share my quick screen to show you. Let me just show you the screen. I want to that one there. Okay, so if you can see my mouse, can you see my mouse moving on the screen or not?
Yes.
Okay, so up on TLCCV News, if you click on that and you'll see the second one says TLCCV Meetings and Special Events. And then if you scroll down, you'll see that every month, and what I put in this week is who the guest speaker was. So you can see that last month's guest speaker was Simon Musty, Lock Your Hubs Forward Driving, talking about Travel Buddy. And then if you click all them down, there's the 70th year anniversary Land Cruiser. That went for about an hour and a half, that meeting. Ian did a great presentation, and Viv did a great video. And that's up there if you want to watch it. As I say, if you scroll through that, you'll see every month going all the way back to, and if you want to go and see Ron Moon, last time, there he is on December 2020. Ron Moon was the presenter back in December last year. As I say, you go all the way back to April, where that was our first Zoom meeting we did last year. So just wanted to let members know that you can always go back and see past meetings, and you can see the videos, you can see the presenters. That's about all from me tonight, Ian, unless you've got any questions for me, that's it.
Thank you, Laurie. All right, so always good that people know where things are on the website. I know I spent quite a bit of time on it, so yep, it's there, folks. There's a lot of information going up, and appreciate all the work by everybody to get things up on there. Hello, Forge, over to you for Cruisacana.
Thank you, thank you. Look, I'd just like to welcome both Laurie and Heidi back into lockdown. That's where you needed to be for the last 4 months. I didn't like seeing you enjoying yourselves. But anyway, Cruisacana. So last month, I know Rob gave an update to say we cancelled and the like. We did float the idea that we wanted to run a mini event in April, early April next year. I believe we've either done it or just about to do it. Put up a link to say for people that want to support that weekend, we're looking for expressions of interest of people to be available on that weekend to support or are interested in supporting that event when we finalise the dates. We're looking for that to be able to gauge whether we will run the event or not. So if people are interested, please click on the link. And Rob, I'm hoping that you've done it. If you have, can you just post it to the chat so people can just go from there? So that's really what we want to do. We are thinking of running Cruisacana, the full event, as we have in the past, in November next year. And that is primarily because we know that there is a lot of people interested in going to Western Australia for the event that John is running with the other clubs. And so we wanted to give enough time for some of those people that are interested in being part of the Cruisacana weekend to come back into Victoria and support us on that weekend. So that's why we've moved it. So we're looking to do a couple of things next year.
All right.
So that's all from me. And if there is a video, I'd be interested in looking at it. Arnhem Lands, it's a fantastic spot.
So thanks very much, Forge. We look forward to whatever goes up there. So we'll move on now to that great video, Golf Country, East Arnhem Land, run by Gail and Alan McMeekin and edited by Viv Gardner again. So over to the video, folks.
Changes, not in a hurry anyway.
beautiful spot here.
Yeah, it looks interesting now.
Well, what an amazing video that was. Those limestone columns, they're just amazing. Never cease to amaze me just how much beauty we've got in our great country of ours. And I'm sure we'll all be looking forward to getting out there. And so that sort of brings us round to a close tonight. I'd like to thank our editing team for our IT team for putting all of this on tonight, and to our panelists for joining us tonight. Special thanks to Ron Moon, a real icon in the four-wheel drive fraternity, for joining us. Look, I hope we've had a great time. We'll see you soon next month. And so just a reminder that the next meeting will be on Tuesday, the 16th of November at 7:30 p.m. At this stage, it will be via Zoom. However, who knows, we'll keep you posted as much as we can as to what and how things are happening. And so I'll close the meeting and thank you all for joining tonight, and good night.